Oh, I got it. Nah. What's up, guys? How you doing? So in case you missed my community post, I'm doing an NBA season preview for all 30 teams, and I'm gonna do them in 30 days. Yeah, I know, it's a stupid idea. Mostly because I really don't have the time to do this with school beginning. But like I said on Twitter, like this is the last time in my life where I can do something stupid and probably get away with it, all right? So I'm gonna take advantage of that opportunity and let's do 30 minutes in 30 days. And because I'm not really creative, I'm just gonna do these teams by alphabetical order. So beginning in the ATL with the Atlanta Hawks. Off-season review. The Atlanta Hawks drafted Trae Young with the 5th overall pick, which they traded down to get. They also drafted Kevin Huerter with the 19th overall pick and Omari Spellman with the 30th overall pick. In free agency, they signed Alex Len to a 2 years, $8.5 million deal, and they got Vince Carter as well. So they had two main trades. One was Jeremy Lin and the 2020 second round pick for 2023 and 2025 second round picks. And then there was also a 3-team trade, which they got rid of Dennis Schroeder, Mike Muscala, and they got back Justin Anderson, Carmelo, who they waived, and a 2022 first rounder, which is protected 1 through 14. And then of course, the big trade that most people were talking about, which was the 3rd pick, ended up being Doncic for the 5th pick, which is Trae Young. And in return for moving down 2 spots, they got the 2019 pick from Dallas, which is protected 1 through 5. I'm giving the Atlanta Hawks an offseason grade of a B-. They did the type of trades you'd expect them to, taking on some bad money to get a couple extra picks. I thought that they should have gotten a better deal for taking on Jeremy Lin's contract, and I think that replacing Justin Anderson for Mike Muscala is a good move given that Anderson's age fits their timeline a little bit better. Signing Alex Len is meh. I'm not exactly sure that a guy like Len is able to play in today's league. Vince Carter is a pretty good signing. Like most people, I have a lot of reservations about the Trae Young Luka Doncic trade. This might be one of those trades where we're gonna look back 10 years from now and be like, dude, do you remember like when Atlanta just traded down to get Trae Young and they missed out on Luka Doncic? This could be one of those trades, but for the most part, I'm gonna reserve judgment. I don't actually have a very strong opinion on either of these players. I just want to see them in the NBA. You know, I got my cards, but you know, I'm waiting for that river card to drop before I push my chips in. You know what I mean? Okay, so usually this is the part of the video in these season previews where I show you their projected roster and I talk about their upcoming season and the difficulties and challenges that they'll encounter. Now, I'm not gonna do that for the Atlanta Hawks, okay? And the reason is because I don't want to waste my time and I don't want to waste your time, okay? Nobody cares about what their season is going to be. They have 0 chance of making the playoffs. They're going to lose a lot of games. Their rotation is going to change every other week because they're going to have players moving in and out of the D League because that's usually what happens with a team that's really bad. So instead, I'm going to take the rest of this video to just talk to you about the Atlanta Hawks future, which I think even Hawks fans themselves would rather me talk about than talk about this 2018-19 upcoming season. So this is Atlanta's master plan. Last year, the Hawks hired a new general manager, Travis Skink. That's not right. You know what? I'm just gonna go with Travis, okay? So prior to joining the Hawks, Travis had worked with the Golden State Warriors for 13 years. He was a video scout and then an assistant general manager, all the way dating back to 2004. So this guy has been through the entire process of rebuilding a trash team, drafting the core foundation, which is Steph, Clay, and Dre, and it couldn't be more obvious that that's exactly what he's trying to do in Atlanta, is replicate the success he had in Golden State. And here's why I say it's so obvious. Just take a look at the 3 players he drafted. You got Trae Young, who all throughout his season at Oklahoma was being compared to Steph Curry. Can Trae Young follow in Steph Curry's footsteps? Is Trae Young the second coming of Steph Curry? Meet Trae Young, Steph Curry with a 40-inch vertical. Oh wait, whoops, that's someone else, my bad. Travis took Trae Young, undoubtedly thinking that he could be the next Steph Curry, or at least something close to it. He then took Kevin Huerter, I think I'm saying that name right, hopefully, who was a 6'7" shooting guard with average athleticism and a super quick release. Does that sound familiar? Oh yeah, that sounds exactly like Klay Thompson. By the way, look at Huerter's shooting form and tell me that doesn't look like Klay Thompson's. That is the closest to Klay's shooting form I've ever seen. I'm serious. If Hoarder came out in an interview and said that he studies Klay Thompson's shooting mechanics, I wouldn't be the least surprised. So to recap, he picks Steph 2.0, and then he picks Klay 2.0, and then he's like, wait, what's the third piece of the Golden State Warriors? Oh, right, Draymond Green. Let's go pick a power forward. And that's exactly what he did. Now, I will say, even though Omari Spellman is drawing comparisons to Draymond Green, on a skill set level, it's not at all a valid comparison. Dude, I swear, ever since Draymond had his breakout season, every single average looking power forward that gets picked in the late first round or early second round gets compared to Draymond. All right, and it's gonna happen in next year's draft, and you bet it's gonna happen in next year's draft, and it's gonna happen in the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that, because people are optimistic idiots. Spellman is already a better shooter than Draymond Green will ever be. On the other hand, he's a decent defender, but he'll never be as good as Draymond Green defensively, and I'm going to bet that Omari Spellman never kicks anybody in the nuts, so let's put this comparison to rest. The only part that I think actually warrants a comparison is their role as a potential playmaker, but Spellman will have to spend an ungodly amount of time watching film if he actually wants to reach Draymond levels of playmaking, because that's what Draymond did. So yeah, Travis is trying to make the Hawks the Warriors of the East. Is it going to work? Probably not, just because it will require each of these players hitting their ceilings, which occurs in about, I don't know, 1 in 50 NBA prospects. As for Kevin Huerter, the thing with him is that he needs to develop into a good defender if he wants to be a legitimate second or third option on a championship team. Let me put it this way. If Klay Thompson were just an average to below average defender, the Warriors would not have won any of the rings they've won in the past like 5 years. No chance. Klay Thompson's defense is probably the most underappreciated part about this whole Warriors dynasty. With Omari Spellman, I think he's going to be a decent role player. If he's surrounded with elite offensive players, he could become a star role player, which is kind of what Draymond is, a star role player, really. The jump shot is what's going to define Spellman's career. If he becomes like a 37% three-point shooter, he can easily have a 10-year career in the NBA and play 20 minutes per game. If not, it's going to be really awkward trying to fit him into the lineup, because you are going to run into some tweener issues. Even though I said in the beginning that I wasn't going to talk about the upcoming season, I'm still going to do the Vegas over and under things because that's kind of fun. I'm going to do these for every team. So Vegas odds have the Atlanta Hawks winning 23.5 games. Now, for context, the Hawks won 24 games last season. So the question is this year's team better or worse than last year's? And I can pretty safely say it's worse. There are more rookies and less veterans on this team, so I think going under is a pretty safe bet here. This is actually strangely one of the few Vegas over-unders that I feel pretty good about. But anyways, that's it for the Atlanta Hawks season preview in a video where I didn't actually preview their upcoming season. If you want to check out the other team videos, if I have them posted, they will be in a playlist. If I don't, subscribe and wait for the other 29 to come out. Peace!